Oh, these are gonna be good. I love Quesa birria tacos. We're gonna start with our chilies, and I have 3 different types here. The first are ancho chilies, which are really just dried poblano peppers. And these have kind of a raisiny, almost fruity smell and taste. Next, we have guajillo, and that's gonna give us that nice smoky flavor with some medium heat. And the Spanish name here translates to little gourd, because if you shake them, you hear all those little seeds rattling around inside. And finally, these small chilies here are called chile de árbol. These will add quite a bit of heat as well as some acidity to the dish, so if you don't like spicy, I wouldn't put too many of these. To prep these for cooking, I'm gonna trim off the stems and shake out all those seeds. Once I've finished cleaning off all my chilies, I'm gonna toast them over low heat, except for the chile de árbol for now. Because these are so small, we don't wanna toast them just yet or they'll burn. And for the rest of our chilies, into a pan to toast over low heat for just about 3 to 4 minutes. Toasting off our chilies will bring out all those flavorful oils and also wake up all of that deep and smoky flavor that they have. But you don't want to toast them for too long, because if they burn, they are very bitter. For just the last 30 or 45 seconds, I'm gonna add in my chile de árbol, and once everything smells nice and fragrant, I'll cover these with beef stock. Keep your face away, because sometimes there's some spice in that steam. Then I'll push everything down, rearrange things a bit to make sure they're all covered by that beef stock. And once it barely starts to simmer, I'll turn off the heat, cover it up with a lid, and we'll let this steep for about 20 minutes. Sort of almost like making a chili tea. Let's start working on our beef. We have a beautiful chuck roast, which is perfect for birria. The reason being, it's filled with all sorts of fat and connective tissue that breaks down as you braise. To prep it, I'll take off these strings, and then anytime I'm cooking with meat, I always like to use a secondary cutting board so I don't have to clean my bigger one. Whack! And I'll sort of let all those fat lines in the meat decide where I cut. Here's a great first piece. Then it looks like a good second piece is right here. Boom. And when it comes to fat, you certainly want some. As we all know, fat is flavor, but you can feel free to trim off some of that excess fat. Really, all I'm doing right now is cutting it into more manageable portions that we can then sear. So with these last 2, I'll cut them right in half. When I make birria, I'm always drinking horchata. I'm gonna season all over with just salt. Since we're trying to get a very quick sear before braising, I'm not gonna use any pepper right now because it'll quickly burn. And then we can start heating some of our oil. I'll go into a heavy bottom pot with a good squeeze of a high smoke point oil. I want more than enough that it coats the bottom of the pot. While I wait for it to heat up, more horchata. I'll do this in 2 batches. That's the sound you'll want to hear when you sear these off. What we're looking for is quick browning on all sides. This is a very important step because this is where you're developing lots and lots of flavor for this recipe. Oh yeah, there it is. So this is what we're looking for. A nice golden crust that's going to build the foundation of all the flavor. Once I've got a nice crust, I'll set a couple of these off to the side. Oh, listen to that sizzle. And before I put these next 3 in, I want you to notice that my oil is very golden. It's not burnt. Since this will be the pot that we cook the remainder of our recipe in, you don't want to burn anything here because then everything's going to taste burnt. Here we go. I'll finish these up, making sure again that they all get that really nice golden crust. And once these are done, I will add back all of my other meat that we already seared. Got to play a little Tetris to fit it all in the pot, as well as any of that juice that might have dripped off. And then I'll cover this, cut the heat, and then move it off to the side, where we will then continue with our chili mixture. Moving on, I'm going to take a white onion. Then once I clean it all up, I'll bring it over to an open flame where I'll quickly toast it and give it a nice char. This is an optional step that I like to do since it gives a bit of extra smokiness to the overall broth. But if you want to skip this step, you definitely can. If you do try this, you'll probably agree right after smelling it that it is going to make your dish taste better. Now it's time for the fun part. I will bring back my chili tea, and then I'll add all of my chilies to the blender, along with half of my chili tea. Then from there, I'm also gonna add in all of that charred half onion, lots of garlic, cumin seeds, and Mexican oregano. Mexican oregano is a game changer here because it's more citrusy and floral than traditional Italian oregano. Now lid on and blend. What a beautiful color this makes. It's almost like a lightly brownish, beautiful orange. It smells incredible. With that, we will come back to our beef, then bring in a strainer and pour over our sauce. Oh, I'll just use a rubber spatula to push it all through. Really, this is just to capture any seeds or anything we might have missed in our sauce. I can already feel a couple sharper parts in there. In a way, the smells that you're gonna experience while making this dish are a little bit unfair because you just wanna eat right away. But on the other hand, they make you realize how delicious this dish is gonna be when we're finished. These are all the little shards of seeds that are left when I'm finished straining. That is why we use a strainer here. Once that's all in, I'm gonna add some white vinegar, some tomato puree, then a few bay leaves, and then some cinnamon. We're using Ceylon cinnamon because this is perfect for for slow cooked foods like birria. Next, a couple peppercorns, a few cloves, and then I'll cover this all with some beef stock until it's about 75% of the way up the side of the beef. Now we go lid on, and we'll simmer this for 3 to 4 hours or until it's fall apart tender. Letting these slowly braise and bubble and break down over these 4 hours is an essential part of the process. It continues to build so much flavor, and once it's done, the meat should be fall apart tender, or at least I hope it is. If you look here, you'll see that this really beautiful reddish fat has surfaced. That's gonna be really helpful when we go to dip and make those tacos in just a few moments. For now, I'm just gonna try to pull out the meat. We're gonna break it in just a second, but I don't wanna break it quite yet. And I'm gonna say there's a very good chance that you won't be able to resist the urge to start tasting things right about now. Part of the reason I keep some horchata handy. It can tide me over until the end. I like to save my first taste for that first complete bite. And now with this beautiful orange braising liquid that's left, I'm going to strain it out. Oh, that's so much fun to do. Look at the color of that fat streaming down the side of my pot. Gives you a really quick look at what kind of flavor we've built up over those 4 hours. While my meat cools down for another moment here, I'm gonna push all of this once again through the strainer. I promise this is the last time we have to do something like this, but you really don't want to chomp down on any big chunk here. It's supposed to be a crispy, soft, tender, and chewy bite, but it's not supposed to hurt your teeth. And then once you feel like you've pushed out as much of that mixture as you possibly can, go ahead and sit this off to the side. Now for the beef. This is the moment that we've all been waiting for. I'm gonna shred it with my hands just to show you how truly tender your beef should become. If you've cooked it for long enough, you should literally be able to just squeeze, and it'll break apart and shred just like that. Cooking for as long as we did is what's allowing all these strands to pull apart so easily. And if this doesn't happen, that means you haven't cooked for long enough. This is one of the moments that makes those 4 hours of just sitting and waiting and drinking horchata very worth it. This shredded beef could be a dish all by itself. Once it's all shredded to your liking, go ahead and ladle over just a few scoops of that delicious birria broth. What this will do is keep that beef nice and juicy while it waits for us to build the final tacos. And with this remaining broth, I'll dump it back into a pot over the heat because I need that to stay nice and warm. For our final prep, I'll take the other half of the white onion that I used earlier and then dice this up nice and small. I'm also going to do the same for my cilantro. Obviously, if you're one of those people where cilantro tastes like soap, then you can skip this part. And with a sharp knife, I'll give this a rough chop. Lastly, I'll take my fresh limes, an absolute must for tacos like this, and I'll slice them this way. For me, this is the one and only way to slice limes. It's beautiful and you get lots and lots of juice. For the cheese, we're using Oaxacan cheese. It's sort of like if mozzarella had a cousin that lived down in Mexico. As you'll see, it's sort of put together and interwoven into this braided knot. So you just got to try to figure out how to untangle it. And once you do, just start peeling some of those strands, which we're going to use to build these tacos. We're looking for nice, thin, meltable strands, just like this. That's how we're going to achieve that gooey and cheesy texture. More horchata. When you're making queso birria tacos, you don't want to grate your cheese. That's because if you do, you're going to get much shorter little strands, and this cheese is already like natural string cheese. You can just pull it all apart like this. And with that, we are ready to build and cook. To build these, you sort of need to set your workstation up in a way that you're not going to make a giant mess. The way it's going to work is we'll take one of our corn tortillas and dip it very quickly into that consommé. Shake off that excess and then lay it down onto your cutting board. And this is where we start to build. Beef down on just 1/2 of the corn tortilla. Not too much, not too little. Use your best judgment. And then our Oaxacan cheese. Notice that I'm laying it in this direction so that when I open it and break it, it's going to be nice and cheesy. And once we've done that, I will fold this over, lightly press down, and that's ready to cook. I feel like I've made enough here to run a taco truck for the day. Come eat some tacos with me. I'm gonna make my last one here. I'm just gonna make 4 because that's all that's gonna fit on my pan. After this last fold here, we are ready to cook. And boy, oh boy, am I excited. Once we're ready to cook, tiny bit of oil onto our griddle. Here we go. Yep, that's the sound we're looking for. This is awesome. Over about medium heat, I'm just gonna let these get nice and crispy. The cheese has to melt, the tortillas need to get a little bit dry. That's it. There's nothing complicated going on anymore. We have made it through the hard part. When you feel like the bottom may have gotten crispy, in a swift motion, flip. Oh, we nailed it. That's perfect. Oh, these are gonna be good. I don't really think we could have made these any better. Listen, listen. That's gonna be just pure texture and crisp when we go to eat that. What happens here that's really nice is that cheese starts to caramelize and even kind of get that dark charred color. This, when I'm actually going out and looking for queso birria tacos, is what I'm looking for. Once they're done, I'm gonna lay them down on a plate. Trust me, they're not gonna sit there for long because I'm gonna eat them right away. Then I'll pour in some of our delicious broth. That is a must. You need to dip these right in there. Then I'll top this with a little sprinkle of cilantro, as well as some of that finely chopped white onion, and to finish, a slice of lime. And that's it. You add a little lime, dip it in the consommé, and get a nice cheesy crunch. I could eat 200 of those.